Hey there, ever stop and wonder how that lunch you just ate actually turns into the energy you need to do anything? To think, to move, to even just breathe? Today, we're diving deep into your body's microscopic engine room. We're going to explore cellular respiration, this absolutely incredible process that powers literally everything you do. So, let's get started. All right, first up, a really important question. Think about it. Your cells can't just take a bite out of a hamburger for energy, right? That'd be like trying to power your laptop with crude oil. It just doesn't work. So, what do they use? What's the refined fuel that actually keeps everything running? And the answer is this incredible little molecule called ATP. That's short for adenosine triphosphate. Seriously, this thing is the hero of our entire story. The best way to think about it, it's the universal energy currency of life. Or, like a tiny rechargeable battery. Every single time one of your cells needs to do anything, it pays for it with ATP. So our whole mission today is to figure out, where does all this ATP come from? Okay, so that brings us to the big problem our body has to solve. How do you turn something like glucose, sugar from your food, into a whole bunch of these little ATP batteries? And why does it take so many steps? Well, think about it. If your body just broke down that sugar all at once, it would basically be a tiny explosion. All that energy would just go up in heat. No, this whole process is way smarter. It's like a slow, controlled burn, designed to capture every last bit of useful energy. And here it is. This is going to be our map for the whole journey. I know, it might look a little complicated at first glance, but don't worry. It really just boils down to three main stages. You can think of it like a three-act play. Act 1 takes place out in the main part of the cell, the cytoplasm. But Acts 2 and 3, where the real magic happens, they take place inside this special little structure, the mitochondrion. All right, let's kick things off with Act 1. We're calling this one the breakup. And the setting for this scene? The cytoplasm, basically the main, bustling workshop of the cell. And meet our main character, this guy right here, a molecule of glucose. It's just a simple 6-carbon sugar, and it's the fuel that we get from the food we eat. So, in a process called glycolysis, which literally just means sugar splitting, this one glucose molecule gets chopped right in half. Bam! It turns into 2 smaller molecules, each with 3 carbons, called pyruvate. And what's super important to remember about this first step is that it happens without any oxygen. None at all. We call that anaerobic. So, what did we get out of that little breakup? Well, we get a quick payoff, a net gain of 2 ATP molecules. It's not a lot, but it's a start. But, and this is really key, we also load up 2 of these molecules called NADH. Just think of NADH as a tiny little dump truck. We've just filled it up with super high energy electrons. These guys are going to be critical later on. And of course, we have our 2 pyruvate molecules, all set to move on to Act 2. Okay, time for a change of scenery. We are now heading into the main event, inside the famous mitochondrion. You've all heard it called the powerhouse of the cell, right? Well, this is why. This is where the serious energy production really gets going. And if you look back at our map, you can see exactly what's happening. Those 2 pyruvate molecules we just made, they're on the move. They travel out of the cytoplasm right into the very heart of our factory, the mitochondrial matrix. Once inside, the pyruvate gets a little makeover, and then it jumps onto something called the Krebs cycle. The easiest way to picture this is like a spinning chemical Ferris wheel. As our molecules go around and around, they get taken apart piece by piece. Carbon atoms get snapped off, and they link up with oxygen to make carbon dioxide. And yeah, you guessed it, that is literally the CO2 that you're breathing out as you watch this. Now, here's a surprising thing. The Krebs cycle itself barely makes any ATP directly. That's not its main job. Its real purpose is to just keep harvesting those super valuable high-energy electrons. We're basically just loading up more of our little dump trucks, both NADH and its cousin FADH2. We're getting the whole fleet ready for the huge delivery in the final act. So, let's do a quick inventory check. After both of our pyruvate molecules have taken a spin on the Krebs cycle, what have we got? Well, we've collected 2 more ATP. Okay, fine, but check this out. We've loaded up 8 more NADH trucks and 2 FADH2 trucks. Our fleet is absolutely packed with energy, and it's ready to roll out to the final stage. And now it's time for the grand finale. This is it. This is where we finally cash in all those high-energy chips we've been so carefully collecting. The location? the inner membrane of the mitochondrion. And you see how it's all folded up? That's on purpose. It creates way more surface area, which basically means more room for more of these energy-making assembly lines. Okay, back to the map. All those trucks we loaded, all that NADH and FADH2, they're all driving to their final drop-off point. It's a series of proteins that are stuck right here in this inner membrane, and it's called the electron transport chain. This is the moment we've been waiting for. The trucks pull up, and they dump their precious cargo, those high-energy electrons. And as the electrons get passed down this protein chain, kind of like a bucket brigade at a fire, their energy is used for one thing: to pump hydrogen ions across the membrane. Imagine using a giant pump to move tons of water up behind a dam. You're building up this huge amount of potential energy. But wait, what about the electrons themselves? Once they get to the end of the line, they can't just pile up, right? The whole system would get clogged. And this is where oxygen comes in. Oxygen is the MVP here. It's the final electron acceptor. Think of it as the garbage collector. It swoops in, grabs those used up electrons, combines them with a little hydrogen, and poof, it makes water. This is it. This is the whole reason you need to breathe every single second, to keep this assembly line clear and moving. All right, it is payoff time. Let's add up all our winnings. So remember way back in Act 1, glycolysis, we got a quick little payout of just 2 ATP. And then in Act 2, the Krebs cycle, we picked up another 2 ATP. So that's it? We're at a grand total of 4 ATP for all that work? That doesn't seem very impressive, does it? But, remember all that water we pumped behind the dam? All that stored up energy? Well, now we open the floodgates. All those hydrogen ions rush back through a special protein, spinning it like a water wheel in a dam. And that spinning motion is what cranks out ATP after ATP after ATP. So what's the final payoff from just this one stage? A mind-blowing 30 to 34 ATP. You add that to the 4 we started with, and one single molecule of glucose gives us up to 38 ATP. That's an incredible amount of energy. It's way more efficient than most car engines, that's for sure. Okay, but what happens when there's no oxygen? I mean, what if you're sprinting for your life and your muscles are just burning through oxygen faster than you can supply it? Your body's got to have a plan B, right? It absolutely does. Without oxygen to act as that final garbage collector, the whole assembly line just grinds to a halt. So cells have to switch over to a backup process called fermentation. In our muscles, this makes lactic acid. You know that burning feeling you get when you're working out really hard? Yeah, that's the lactic acid. Now, in something like yeast, they do a different kind of fermentation. They make alcohol and carbon dioxide, which, by the way, is how we get beer and fluffy bread. But here is the most important thing to understand about fermentation. The process itself makes 0 new ATP. Nothing. Its only job is to reset the system so that glycolysis, that very first step, can keep happening over and over again. It lets you keep making that tiny little profit of 2 ATP. It's a really inefficient emergency plan, but hey, it's just enough to keep the lights on for a little while. Okay, so our last section, let's zoom way, way out. Let's see how this incredibly detailed little process fits into the big picture of, well, all life on Earth. And what you see here is it's the perfect cycle of nature. Think about it. The things we get rid of, our waste products, the carbon dioxide we breathe out and the water our cells make, those are the exact things that plants need for photosynthesis. And what do plants give us back? The sugar for our fuel and the oxygen we need to breathe to burn that fuel. It's this beautiful, perfect loop that connects every living thing on the planet. So the next time you take a deep breath, just for a second, remember what's actually happening. You're fueling trillions upon trillions of tiny power factories inside you. You're generating the very energy that lets you listen to this, think about it, create things, experience life. So the only real question is, what are you going to power with all that energy today?